Ever looked up at a drone and thought, huh, I wonder what it takes to fly one of those things?
Or maybe I could do that.
Well, get ready to dive in because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of drone operators and pilots.
It's a career path that's seriously taking off right now.
And to help us navigate this whole drone thing, we've got a fantastic report from the Life Skill Foundation.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit based in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, really focused on giving students solid career guidance, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting about this report is that it's specifically designed for Indian students.
Especially those just starting to think about their futures.
So helpful. So the report jumps right in. And I love that. What does a drone operator or pilot even do all day?
Right, because it's not all like, fancy action movie stunts and aerial acrobatics.
Right. Although that would be pretty cool.
Definitely. But it's more about using these unmanned aircraft for like real world stuff, practical applications.
Okay, so give us some examples. What kind of practical stuff are we talking about?
Think agriculture, filmmaking, even delivering your latest online shopping order. We're talking about solving real problems, and they need skilled operators to do it.
That makes a lot of sense. So this sounds like a good fit for someone who's into tech, obviously, but also problem solving.
You got it. In fact, the report even gets into those Holland Code personality types. Remember those?
Oh, yeah, those categories that help you figure out what kind of work you'd be good at.
Exactly. And for drone operators, they highlight realistic, investigative, and enterprising as good matches.
So we're talking about people who like working with their hands, figuring things out, maybe even taking charge of projects,
Exactly. It's not just tech skills, it's that whole problem-solving mindset.
which is so important. Imagine having to, think on your feet while your drone's in the air.
Totally. You need to be able to assess situations quickly and make good judgment calls. Could be intense.
Definitely. So let's say you've got the skills, you're a good decision maker, and you're ready to launch this career. What's the path look like?
So this report breaks it down into three main zones, which is handy. You've got entry-level, mid-level, and advanced.
Makes sense. You work your way up.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Like you might start with something like drone photography.
Okay, pretty cool entry-level gig if you ask me.
Right. And then as you get more experience, maybe specialize in certain types of drone work, you could move into managing entire fleets of drones.
Wow, from snapping pics to overseeing a whole drone squadron, that's a heck of a career trajectory. So what's the earning potential like? Asking for a friend, of course.
Of course. Well, according to this report, it really depends on your experience and what you specialize in.
Right, makes sense. But give us a ballpark. What are we talking here?
Salaries can range from $15,000 to over $60,000 per month.
Okay, so not only is this a super cool field, it could be pretty lucrative too.
Definitely a cool factor there.
Okay, let's get real for a sec. What does a typical day look like for a drone operator? Is it all high-flying action all the time?
I mean, it sounds exciting, but the report makes it clear that it's not all glamorous aerial shots. There's a lot more to it.
Like what? What else is involved?
Well, you'd be planning flight paths, which is important, making sure you're following all the airspace regulations safety first, collecting data, and then spending time actually analyzing all that footage you're getting.
Oh, right. So it's a good balance of hands-on flying and then that analytical side of things too.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say someone listening is in 10th grade right now, and they're totally hooked on this whole drone operator idea. Where do they even begin?
Well, like anything else, it all starts with a good foundation. Just like flying a drone, actually, you need a strong base. The report suggests focusing on science and math courses early on.
Okay, so those are key.
Yeah, and then as you move on to 12th grade, subjects like physics, computer science, and engineering become really important.
You're basically piloting a flying computer.
Right. But what about after graduation?
Yeah, is a college degree a must-have to get your foot in the door with this drone thing?
It's not necessarily a deal breaker for those entry-level jobs, but a college degree can definitely give you an edge as you move up.
Sure, so it's like having that extra boost to help you reach those higher level positions. What kind of degrees would be a good fit?
The report mentions a few paths. Aviation is a classic choice, of course, but you could also consider computer science, especially if you're into the tech side of drones.
Right, all the programming and stuff that makes them go.
Exactly. And then there's Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, which is all about maps and spatial relationships.
Oh, that's super relevant for drone operation, right?
Hugely. Okay, but what if you're still in school, like you said, but you're itching to get some hands-on drone experience before you graduate?
Are there programs or certifications you could look into, like to get a head start?
You bet. In India, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, or the DGCA, that's the main authority for drone pilot certification.
Yep.
That's right. DGCA, they're the go-to for official drone pilot certification in India.
So it's important to have them on your radar.
Definitely. Well, you can also find some really good training programs at private institutions, too.
Oh, that's good to know. Any recommendations from the report?
Yeah, they actually give a shout out to the Indian Institute of Drones in Noida.
Okay, I've heard of them.
They have a good reputation for specialized drone training.
That's good to know. So you've got options, whether you're more into a traditional classroom setting or something more, niche.
Right, exactly.
Now, I'm also seeing a ton of online courses these days, Coursera, Udemy, that kind of thing. Have you seen those?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, those online platforms are fantastic, especially if you want to, really dive into a specific skill.
Right, or if you just learn better at your own pace, on your own schedule.
Exactly. And that kind of flexibility is great. It makes it way easier for people to explore this field, no matter what their situation is.
It's like the drone industry itself, accessible and taking off.
Ha, love it. Okay, so we've established that drone skills are in demand, that's clear. But what are companies actually using these drones for in India? Yeah, let's get into the details.
Give it the juicy stuff.
Okay, well, you already mentioned real estate.
Right, using drones to get those amazing property shots.
Exactly. And the report had some super cool examples, like imagine a drone capturing a 360-degree view of some luxury villa right on a cliffside.
Okay, yeah, breathtaking.
Something you just couldn't get with traditional photography. That's the power of drones.
Talk about a room with a view. See, that's what gets me excited, using drones to do things that were, impossible before, or at least way too expensive.
Totally. And it's not all about those glamorous shots either. Drones are also being used for, really practical things, conducting site surveys for construction projects.
Oh, yeah, I could see that being super useful.
Or even inspecting rooftops for damage after a big storm. Much more efficient than sending people up there.
Way safer, too, I bet.
Way safer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like giving those industries a whole new perspective, literally.
Totally. Now, the report also mentioned agriculture, which makes a lot of sense, especially in India.
Huge for agriculture. Think about it. Farmers can use drones to survey their fields, get a real sense of how the crops are doing.
Wow, so they can actually, see the health of their crops from the air.
Exactly. And even more than that, they can use drones to, optimize their irrigation systems.
Oh, wow, so they're not just seeing problems, they're actually solving them with drones.
Exactly. It can be a game changer for efficiency, reducing waste, helping farmers get the most out of their land.
It's like having a bird's eye view of your entire farm, which is amazing. But, I think when most people hear drone, they think cool aerial photography.
That's it. That's the stereotype.
And that's kind of it, right?
It's just the tip of the iceberg. Because while the photography is awesome, drones are so versatile. We're talking applications in logistics, like delivering packages to places that are hard to reach.
Oh, like those remote villages you hear about.
Exactly. Or inspecting infrastructure, things like pipelines, power lines, looking for damage.
Wow, that seems a lot more efficient than, sending people out on foot.
Way more. And even aid them in disaster management,
Yeah.
Getting real-time views of disaster areas after an earthquake or something.
So they can see where help is needed most. Direct resources to the right places.
Exactly. It's like having this, Swiss Army knife of technology. There's a drone for almost everything these days.
That's incredible. But with all this high-flying tech, you know what I'm thinking about.
What's that?
Safety.
Ah, yes, of course. Super important.
We can't just have a free-for-all up in the sky, right? It's got to be regulated.
Absolutely. The report really stresses that while drones have incredible potential, safety and regulation are paramount.
Couldn't agree more. So how does that actually work in India? What are the rules? Who's making them? How do we make sure everyone's on the same page?
Well, this is where the DDCA comes back in. Remember, we talked about their certification program.
Right. So it all ties back to that.
Exactly. It's crucial because it makes sure that anyone operating a drone has the knowledge and the skills to do it safely.
So it's not just about being able to fly the thing. It's about knowing the rules of the sky, so to speak.
Yes. Understanding things like airspace regulations, weather conditions, how to handle your drone properly. It's about responsibility.
So it's not just about the thrill of flying a cool gadget. It's about being a responsible pilot, understanding the risks.
100%. The report really emphasized that operating a drone is a big responsibility. You're dealing with potentially dangerous equipment, sharing the airspace with other aircraft, and often handling sensitive data, too.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. It's about finding that balance between pushing the limits of what's possible with this tech, but also being super mindful of safety and ethics.
Ethics, yeah. Speaking of that, are there any, I don't know, less obvious ethical things we should be thinking about as drones become more common?
Oh, absolutely. We really need to be mindful of how this tech gets used and what the implications might be down the line. Like, for example, how do we make sure people's privacy is protected when drones with high-powered cameras are everywhere?
It's true. You don't really think about it, do you? We're so used to seeing the world at eye level, not from up above. It's easy to forget about those privacy concerns when you've got eyes in the sky.
Exactly. And it's something we got to be talking about now, not later. As drone technology gets like even more advanced, how do we balance those cool innovations with being responsible? How do we use this tool the right way without ending up in a place where it's infringing on people's privacy?
Right, because there are always consequences.
Always
It's like that old saying, with great power.
comes great responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just individual privacy either. What about the impact on jobs, right? As more and more of this stuff gets automated,
Oh, huge issue.
or even the environmental impact.
Yeah,
Manufacturing all these high-tech drones, what happens to them when they're obsolete?
you're hitting on some really important points. There's a whole other layer here about the social and environmental impact of all this.
Which often gets overlooked, right?
Totally. So yeah, as drones become more common, we've got to ask those tough questions. How do we deal with potential job losses? How do we make the whole drone life cycle more sustainable?
Not easy questions.
Definitely not, but important ones.
Absolutely. It's almost like we're at this exciting crossroads, right? The technology is just exploding with possibilities, but we also need to be really thoughtful about where we go from here.
I love that analogy. It's like we're at a crossroads and we get to choose the path.
Exactly. And that's why I think reports like this one from the Life Skill Foundation are so valuable. They're not just like giving students the rundown on some cool career path.
Right, it's bigger than that.
They're actually making them think about the bigger picture, the ethics, the impact on society. It's about empowering the next generation to not just use this technology, but to shape it.
To shape it responsibly. So well said.
It's like they're saying, hey, the future's up for grabs. And guess what? You get to help make the rules.
I love that. It's so true.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening. Honestly, I feel like we've gone from drones are cool to drones are cool, but they're also complex, and we got to be smart about how we use them.
Totally. They come with a lot of responsibility, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
the potential is huge, right?
Huge. Drone technology is completely changing the world. And with that change comes amazing opportunity, but also, like we've been saying, a real need to think carefully about all the angles.
100%. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Balance, yeah.
Yeah.
Where cool innovation meets ethics, where we're using this tech to solve problems and create positive change, but without losing sight of the bigger picture.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, for anyone listening who's feeling inspired, maybe wants to learn more about the Life Skills Foundation and the amazing work they're doing, all the cool career paths they're highlighting, make sure to check out the links in our show notes.
Yeah, they're a great organization, really empowering the next generation of drone innovators.
Love it. So there you have it, folks. Another deep dive, another fascinating topic explored. We journeyed into the world of drone operators, looked at the techie side, the ethical dilemmas, and honestly, I'm walking away with a lot to think about.
Me too. It's been awesome unpacking all this with you.
Always a pleasure. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and remember, never stop looking up.
Because the sky's the limit.
See you next time.